Welcome to Business Edge Radio, the show that gives you tips, tricks, tools, and techniques about how to build a more profitable business, while at the same time creating your perfect lifestyle. It's a show about working less and living more. A few golden nuggets, a little bit of wisdom, and over 35 years of business experience to help you keep your edge. Lifestyle entrepreneur, best-selling author, internationally renowned business speaker, and daddy of three, Mitche brings the heat with actionable techniques for building the business and lifestyle of your dreams. Now your host, Mitche.
Well, hello there, my Unleashed tribe, and welcome to yet another fast-paced and educational edition of Business Edge Radio, the ultimate brainstorming session for your business and life. I'm your happy-go-lucky and chocolate-loving host, Mitche, and on today's show, we're going to be discussing how creativity plays an integral role in the success of your business. We switched things up a little bit with our interview and talked to an award-winning musician, producer, and a critically acclaimed author and internationally distributed filmmaker who has devoted his entire life to the art of creativity. My guest, Jeff Leisawitz, will talk about how the creative process can become a big part of your everyday life. I review a book that is about nothing and everything at the same time, and a recipe today is for Mitche's Northwest 7-course mashed potatoes. And you don't even need gravy or anything else for these bad boys, so stick around until the end for that. When I first started thinking about doing a show like this, it was about 10 years ago when podcasts and business shows were not considered to be a cool thing at all. In fact, most people didn't even know what a podcast was. Well, nearly 10 years went by, and life kept getting in the way of me even starting this show. I didn't make it a big priority in order to make it happen, so the idea sat bubbling away in the back of my brain. Each year, I put it on my list of goals that I wanted to accomplish that year. Then I allowed it to get bumped to the back of the line every single year. Then 2020 came around, and COVID-19 dominated our lives. Just like many of you, several of my businesses were devastated, and revenues dropped drastically. If you've been a listener to this show for a while, you know that I'm pretty ardent about how I spend my time and making sure that I spend it doing the things that will bring me the biggest return on my time investment. To me, the show idea was more of just a fun side project or a passion project. So it didn't rise to the level of, okay, this is an absolute must to get done. In the spring, I suddenly had some extra time on my hands and decided to launch my passion project, Business Edge Radio, which you're listening to right now, and Business Edge Minute, which is a short 60-second daily show that gives people actionable tips and tricks that they can implement right away into their business and into their life. I never imagined that we'd have listeners in 29 countries and 37 states in just a few short months. The input we've received has been overwhelming, to say the least. We hear from our listeners via email, on social media, through our new app that you can download for your Apple or your Android device. And I've been able to interview some of the brightest and sharpest minds in the world, like 12-time Major League Baseball All-Star and future Hall of Famer Steve Garvey, Starbucks founder Howard Schultz, as well as many other incredibly generous and talented people in a variety of fields, from magicians to sleep therapists to business icons, coaches, social media experts, to just plain old inspirational people who make you want to get off your butt and make a difference in the world. There's times that it's been difficult to make sure that I get all the research done, get the guests lined out, get the content created, so that I can deliver as much value as possible. I've always looked at this show as a teach show and not just a talk show. And that takes time each week to make sure that I am delivering exceptional value to you. Well, with all that said, I never imagined in my wildest dreams that we would be receiving the kind of response that we have, and I have some really cool news to share with you. I received a notice yesterday that we are in the top 1.5% of all the podcasts in the world, of which there's now over 1.8 million worldwide. 1.8 million. To me, that's just an amazing number. It just completely blows me away. I'm a little bit speechless, actually, which is not an easy thing to do. You can just ask my wife about that one. It's an honor that I don't take lightly, and I look at it as only the beginning. Starting in January, we will have an entire new list of terrestrial radio stations that will be broadcasting the show each week, in addition to the thousands of weekly listeners that we already have. So from the bottom of my heart, I want to thank each and every one of you for listening right now, and I want to make a pledge to you. I pledge to work even harder, to continue to bring you actionable content, and to book even more great guests as the show continues to grow. And maybe along the way, I hope to provide a little bit of entertainment and fun as well. Thank you, thank you, thank you. All right, enough said. Now, let's get on with the show. Usually, the topics of business and creativity don't come up in the same conversation very often. Many believe that business is all about making money, while creativity is about art and imagination and freedom, and maybe even a little bit of laziness. So how did the two rather different ideas fit into one? Creativity in the business world is a way of thinking that inspires you, challenges you, and helps people to find innovative solutions and create opportunities out of problems. It's the reason some companies wow us with new, amazing ideas, while others merely follow the beaten path. Creativity is the source of all innovation and inspiration. There has never been a new product or a service ever invented or developed that didn't have somebody behind it thinking about how to make the world a better place. Who would have ever thought back in the 1980s when Steve Jobs said, "Someday you will have this device that you walk around with that you can make calls on, play games on, check out the weather, and even look up the meaning of bicipitable aponeurosis." Well, we all thought he was crazy back then, but today we can't imagine living our lives without that little thing that we carry with us wherever we go. And if we forget it, we got to turn the car around and drive back home. Yes, I'm talking to you. What about the wild idea of making a car go with a battery instead of with gasoline? Crazy idea that for decades seemed to be destined for failure until a man named Elon Musk decided that he was going to make it so. Yes, for every success, there are multitudes of failures, but creativity helps us to learn lessons from the failures so we can pave a better path for success. LinkedIn named creative thinking as the most demanded skill today in determining a business's success. Other researchers have also placed it in the top 3 required skills to run a business together with critical thinking and problem solving. Creative thinkers are the visionaries that drive the company's growth and innovation practices. So what does creativity bring to business success? Well, number 1, it makes companies competitive. If the leaders are constantly pushing the limits of their creative minds, that is where the magic happens and separates the movers and shakers for the ones that simply are happy to exist or survive. Number 2, it nurtures the company culture. We all know businesses that engage their employees by asking them to help in the creative process, and hopefully your business is one of them. Whether it be in marketing, sales, the customer experience, future financial planning, or other duties that drive business creativity. And number 3, it helps us solve problems. Creative problem solving is a skill set that just about any job interviewer worth their weight will ask a job applicant about before hiring them. They'll give you a random problem or situation that might arise on the job, and they ask you for a creative solution. If you nail it, you get the job. If not, well, back to the drawing board. Think about it. You can't build something new using old methods. The fast-driven economic environment favors companies that can be flexible, they can think fast, and adapt to changes quickly. None of this is possible if your business holds on to outdated processes and systems. Every business tries to grow and expand while also surpassing their competition. It's crucial to bring in something new, something different, and something helpful for your customers if you want to achieve a higher goal. This is where creativity finds its way into the fiber of your business. You can't simply copy what other businesses do and expect to become the best in the industry. To be the best, you have to innovate. You got to come up with stellar solutions and push the creative boundaries. Now, innovation and creativity go hand in hand in the business world. You don't want to have stale, plain solutions and services and unappealing products that nobody wants. You need to step out of your comfort zone, explore brand new solutions, and stimulate the creativity of your business ecosystem. Our business environment is changing all the time. Before, it was enough to just lower your prices to beat the competitors. But the economic conditions today have changed, and now there's nothing that saturated markets can't offer. Companies need to find smarter ways to keep the interest of their customers. With business creativity, you get to solve problems faster and easier than ever before. It helps you discover unique ideas that will keep your users interested and engaged. which is vital to your business success. You get to stay one step ahead by uncovering what people need before they need it. I never knew that I needed a pair of wireless earbuds until I did. I also didn't know that my phone would be able to tell me the exact directions on how to get to Uncle Henry's plant emporium until it did. And I never in my wildest dreams thought I would have to have a device in every room that could give me an answer to just about any questions that I could think of. Until I did. Somebody with a pen and a pad had to think all this stuff up. None of this would be possible without creative thinking. Not only does it go hand in hand with problem solving, but it also helps people see opportunities. The bottom line, it's all about people. Business creativity wouldn't work if it weren't for the people involved. It's the brilliant individuals that generate ideas and drive them to become tangible results. No business can exist without the people behind it. Companies that understand the importance of growing and nurturing the creative talent realize that it is the vital element in the corporate culture. Creative thinking is a skill that can be developed, but it cannot be imposed. It thrives in environments that are inclusive, adaptive, safe, based on trust, and that welcomes experimentation and encourages people to be curious and explore. Another major benefit is that it helps boost your productivity. You get to reach unknown territories, and that motivates every team member to do their best and push themselves to the next level in a very rewarding manner. Moreover, business creativity makes people feel appreciated. It helps their personal and professional growth, knowing they are surpassing their limits and expectations as they come up with something new and exciting. But the best thing is that it encourages healthy feedback generation and collection. Because without feedback, it can be very hard to figure out what you're doing well and where you are going terribly wrong. When you are creative, you are bound to make mistakes, and that makes it easier to accept and understand feedback at the highest possible level. Done well, this has the potential to boost workplace morale, while also pushing your mind and ideas towards these new perspectives. Right now, we have so many problems in the world, and creative thinking as a problem-solving skill helps to find opportunities and see challenges as a chance to improve the situation. Pair that with the growth mindset and a genuine curiosity on how things work and why we do them in a certain way, creativity becomes the catalyst for all innovation. Doesn't mean that the process is easy, though. It requires a great deal of effort and time and collaboration to find the ideas that are not only original and unique, but are also useful and viable at the same time. You can't expect your company to stand out without a little business creativity. Creative thinking and problem solving are the pivotal tools on the road to innovation. Sure, you're bound to make lots of mistakes, but you're also in uncharted territory, so a few mistakes are expected. You get to explore something new, play with that idea, and see where it goes. Of course, there are challenges along the way, but if you take the creative leap, the results can be nothing short of extraordinary. Hello, Unleashed Tribe. I am so honored to have you as a loyal listener, and I'm very excited to tell you about the Business Edge Radio app, now available on Apple and Android devices. You can catch up on past episodes, watch short videos of the Business Edge Minute, our 60-second show that gives you quick and easy tips on building a better business and living a better life. And you'll get access to bonus materials that are only available on the app. In fact, I have a nice little PDF bonus waiting for you there right now. Plus, you can email the show, call the show, connect with us on social, check out our website, and even make a nice fluffy omelet. No, you can't really do that. Just go to the iTunes Store or Google Play Store, and you can download the Business Edge Radio app so you can be one of the cool kids on your block. Business Edge Radio, the ultimate brainstorming session for your business and life. Now available in the App Store. Download it today. And if you don't, I'll come visit you on your day off. In today's business world, it's vitally important that you understand what I call the 7 pillars of business success, which are lifestyle design, time management, branding, sales, marketing, pricing, and social media. Regardless of what industry you're in, and whether you have a brick and mortar or are only online, having a solid foundation in these skill sets will set you up for success down the road. And to personally help you with your journey, I've written a book called The Business Basics Bootcamp, the ultimate crash course, now available on Amazon.com and from other fine bookstores.
and it'll give you a 30,000-foot view on these topics and many more. It'll help you slow down just a little bit so that you can get your business house in order and get your creative juices a-flowing. Log on to Amazon.com today and get your copy of Business Basics Bootcamp, the ultimate crash course. You can search my name, Mitch Graff, or search the title of the book. In the dog-eat-dog world of business success, the weak will perish and the strong will survive. Which will you be?
Typically, I use this time to talk about some sort of business book. Now and then I review a book that has nothing to do whatsoever with building a better mousetrap for your company, but rather something that just makes you think, or maybe something that's just fun to read now and then. I'm a big believer in the power of reading, and if you would commit just an hour a day to reading, I can guarantee that after 1 year, you would be on the absolute top of the food chain and would be considered an expert in your field. Well, today's book has nothing to do with anything business related. In fact, it's a book about nothing and everything at the same time. The Book of Unusual Knowledge by Publications International Ltd. Is a mammoth 704-page padded hardcover book crammed with a cornucopia of information, some useful, others not so much. But it's all completely captivating. It's perfect for anyone with a curious mind and a passion for learning. It has quirky illustrations throughout and a vast array of articles and anecdotes, lists, games. And this book will provide hours of enjoyable and fascinating reading. It will also expand your knowledge on a range of topics, including the animal kingdom, art, sports, technology, history, politics, the universe, and much, much more. Here's some examples of some topics. Are plastic bags killing sacred cows in India? Does NASCAR have roots in bootlegging moonshine? Did Ronald Reagan see not one, but 2 UFOs during his lifetime? What could cause a man to bury 10 Cadillacs nose down in a pasture? Why did the King of Prussia assemble an elite infantry unit composed entirely of unusually tall men? So for the person who likes to know everything about everything, this book is a perfect fit. It also gives you the opportunity to just chill a bit without having all the pressures that our lives bestow upon us. You can pick it up for 10 minutes here, 20 minutes there, and you never have to worry about forgetting about what the plot was all about. You can leave it on your coffee table or in the bathroom as a time killer. You can find this book, as well as many, many other great reads, at powermarketing101.com/hotlist. That's powermarketing101.com/hotlist.
If you know anything about me, you know that I love my early mornings, and I really love a good cup of fresh roasted coffee. There's nothing better than getting started before the rest of the world with a good cup of joe. That's why I'm so excited to have Mountain Creek Coffee as a partner. The process is so simple. You order, they roast, they ship, you enjoy. They don't roast your beans until an order is placed, which guarantees the absolute freshest coffee that you can get. Check out their artisan dark roast, medium roast, or decaf beans at mtncreekcoffee.com. And when you put in the code EDGE at checkout, you will receive 20% off your first order. I prefer the dark roast because of its full body and bold flavor. You order, they roast, they ship, you enjoy. Log on to mtncreekcoffee.com and enter the code EDGE at checkout, and you will receive a 20% discount off your first order. Pretty cool stuff. Mountain Creek Coffee and Business Edge Radio, a partnership brewed out of the love of coffee. See what I did right there? Fans of Business Edge Radio, I have a very special treat for you. As you know, I love barbecuing and making up any excuse to get myself outdoors. And that's why I'm so excited to partner with Barbecue Nation. They make incredible sauces and rubs and spices and meat shredders and grill scrapers and lots more. And they're offering a deal for our listeners. Check out bbqnation.net. And when you place an order for any of their products, you'll receive a 20% discount off your order when you enter the word EDGE at checkout. Looking for a magnet that lists your cooking temperatures or different types of smoking woods? They got that. Need a heavy-duty set of meat shredders for your pulled pork or shredded chicken sliders? They got that too. Or my favorite is their Magic Dust Everything Rub that will spice up just about any dish. Log on to bbqnation.net. That's bbqnation.net today. And when you enter the code EDGE at checkout, you'll receive a 20% discount just because you hang out with us on the show. Barbecue Nation, get your grill on.
Jeff Leisawitz is the author of the critically acclaimed book, Not Effing Around, the No BS Guide for Getting Your Creative Dreams Off the Ground. He's an award-winning musician and producer, a critically acclaimed author, and an internationally distributed filmmaker who has devoted his life to inspiring others to access their creativity. Recording under the name Electron Love Theory, Jeff has released 5 studio albums with more than 1 million streams. He's landed thousands of music placements in film, TV, multimedia for clients like HBO, MTV, Discovery, Microsoft, NBC, and many others. His film Mystic Coffee, about a wise and magical barista, was picked up for international distribution. After training as a life coach and practicing NLP, which is neuro-linguistic repatterning, Jeff landed a gig as an adjunct faculty member at Pacific Lutheran University, teaching college students how to rock. Yeah, seriously, how to rock. He's an in-demand creative coach, consultant, speaker, and workshop leader. I want you to pay special attention to what Jeff says about what to do when you don't feel creative and why it's important to get creative daily. You can learn more about Jeff at jeffleisawitz.com. That's LEISAWITZ.com. Please enjoy my inspiring conversation with Jeff Leisawitz. Well, Jeff, welcome to the show.
Hey, thanks for having me, man.
No, it's an honor to have you, buddy. Hey, you wrote a book a while back, a very critically acclaimed book called Not Effing Around, the No BS Guide for Getting Your Creative Dreams Off the Ground. Before we dive into content and ask you a bunch of questions that I want to know the answers to, what motivated you to write that book?
This book came to me in a sort of weird way. I live in Seattle, and I often go to coffee shops to work and to write and to do things. And especially on the weekends, I'll often kind of go out there and just write journal stuff or write poetry or work on my screenplays or, whatever. A couple of years ago, I guess, I was just out there and I just started writing something. And at the end of my session, I was like, this would kind of be good for a book. Like, I think about this stuff, talk about this stuff, as a coach and everything all the time, as well as with myself. Why not write a book? So I just started writing it. There was no real intention before that. But once I kind of got the bug, I was like, yeah, let's do it. And since I have thought about this stuff and act in this stuff and talk about this stuff all the time, it was really pretty fast.
Well, and the creative process for writing a book is very similar to, that just says something simple, like writing a blog or writing an article or doing a long-winded letter to your friends on Facebook. The creative process, your brain has to engage. And I'm a left-handed writer, so I get to access my right brain a little bit more. But tell me a little bit more about the creativity and how your background has kind of come to the point that you are today, where you help business people with their creativity.
Well, I've always been a creative type. When I was a little kid, I was sort of like this weird, friendless kid. So making up my own worlds, my own playmates, that kind of stuff. I went to summer camp as a young kid. And this one summer, this is like back in the late 70s, they had this thing. It was a sleepover camp. At the end of every day after dinner, they had this period called free play, where the kids could just kind of run amok, run around, do whatever. And this one summer, there was an empty cabin. So one of the counselors brought up a big old drum kit, a 70s stereo, and a box of records. And I, as a little 8-year-old or something, would sit under this tree and listen to this guy play the drums to these classic rock songs, which at the time was, Zeppelin and Tom Petty and, Billy Joel, like all this amazing stuff.
Yeah.
Good stuff. So one day this guy comes out and he sort of sees this little kid sitting there and he's like, hey, kid, you want to check this out? You want to come in and check this out? Yeah. So I go in there and this guy puts on The Who, Won't Get Fooled Again. That was serious rock song.
Yeah.
And this guy just pounds the crap out of these drums and my mind and heart are just blown out. And I'm like, okay, this is big. And that kind of set me on the path for music and then for photography and writing and everything else. So, I've had this long career in all these kinds of fields in different ways and others. But what I found out after going through, many years and many different mediums of creativity is that although the mediums are different, the concepts are the same. And it's really true in business too. Business is really a creative endeavor. right? Yes, everybody wants to make money and do this and that, but the concept is the same. How can you think creatively to supply a product or service? And how can you work the marketing in a creative way, et cetera, et cetera? So I kind of bring all of the elements of songwriting and filmmaking and storytelling and photography to the business process. And that might sound completely different, but there's really a lot of overlap there. And then, because I've been doing all these things professionally for so long, I understand the brass tacks of the whole thing. Here's how to market the thing. How do you get your product going, et cetera, et cetera. It's kind of the magic sauce, the secret sauce.
The secret sauce. Well, creativity is so interesting and fascinating to me because it's something that is uniquely and completely special for you, special for me. Every person in the world, they are unique in their own creativity. And your creativity is one of a kind. It can't be replicated by anybody else. But I feel that many people would say that they're just not creative for whatever reasons. And I think that when you hear the word creative, your mind automatically goes to an artist, a painter, a musician, something like that. And I know that many people would say they just don't have a creative bone in their entire body. But in your opinion, why is having creativity so important, no matter what you do in your life?
Okay, so let's step that back a little bit. So when people talk about creativity, you're right. They tend to think of some kind of artist or dancer or musician. And those things are creative, obviously. But what they're really talking about is the skill that those people have, right? An artist, before they can be creative, they better know how to hold the paintbrush. Right. They better understand color. They better practice doing things. Same thing with a guitar player. You better know how to hold the guitar, what the chords are. That has nothing to do with creativity. In fact, there's plenty of musicians and artists who really aren't very creative at all. Right?
Rappers is one of them, I say.
Okay, so they've got some of these people in that category might have skill or even great skill in the things that they do, but the creative aspect is different. So that's the first thing we need to think about in terms of creativity and skills. Okay, the next thing is, what is creativity really? So in my mind, creativity is simply putting together unobvious elements to make something new that is beneficial in some way.
Give me an example of that.
Okay, let's go to music. So in music history, there was punk rock. Okay, Sex Pistols did it in the 70s, plenty of other bands, right? That was a thing. Another thing that happened in the 70s and 80s was heavy metal. Great, You got these two things. Then Nirvana and those guys and, a bunch of grunge bands come along. And they kind of put the two together. Nobody really thought to do that before, but they put this together and suddenly it's kind of a new sound. And this kind of genre mashing happens all the time in music. I mean, there's a million genres now. You can take electronic elements and put it with folk. You can take reggae. I mean, look at the Police from the 80s. Took rock, basically rock, pop, and reggae, right? And put those together, and suddenly that's a new thing.
Well, I can see you doing that in all kinds of different fields in business, right? You take this kind of a promotion with that kind of a promotion, and you do a mashup, and you come up with your third entity that you put out there and promote your products and services. So I can see this as being something that is across all walks of life.
Absolutely. So you dial it back in business. So there's a guy in Seattle in the 90s, and he's like, here's a website. This is a new technology. That's kind of cool. Hey, I think books might sell on this thing. Yeah. Bookstore, website. It seems obvious now because everybody's selling everything on a website. But back then, it wasn't.
Right. Back then, nobody would even think that way. And now we can't think otherwise. You're right.
Exactly.
Right.
Think of another guy sitting in his college dorm room. And he's like, well, people like to talk to each other and connect with each other and share photos and stuff like that. And there's this thing called a website. Click, billionaire.
The Facebook, yep.
Right, exactly.
Or one day people are going to hold their computer in their hand and play games with it and communicate with each other. Steve Jobs was decades in front of everybody else when it came to mashing all that kind of stuff together into what we now call our phone, which has our life on it anymore.
Right. That guy had to wait for the technology to catch up to his vision.
That's right. As business owners, we build brands, we sell products and services. We all do it. It's very straightforward, but most successful brands tell stories to their prospective customers. How does storytelling help in building a business?
Oh my goodness. Absolutely. Great question. So we are built as humans. So part of my coaching practice and part of my interest is, how do humans work? What's the psychology behind who we are and what we do? And when you think about this, literally everything in the human world is based on our psychology. We all process everything through our brains. So humans are storytelling creatures, I guess you would say. We take different ideas, different facts, different senses, all these kinds of things, and put them together in a narrative. And that narrative is a story. And what that really is just a bunch of facts or ideas or thoughts or feelings or whatever that make some kind of sense. That's what a story is. X happened, then Y happened, then Z happened. So it is literally built into the core of our being that we need stories to understand the world. Okay, that's why people love movies and TVs and song and books and all that stuff.
Yep.
Right? Like, why would you be watching other people's stories? Because we can learn from them.
When you spent a large part of your career in the music industry, and I think music tells some of the best stories. A simple song can bring a tear to my eye for no apparent reason. And it can also get my adrenaline going as well. Depends on the vibe of the song. I discovered a new, I'll call it a band because it's one guy. I think he's in Sweden. Lights in Motion. It's him. It's just him. Very simple, doing synthesizers, and he's got some drum, and he's got some different things that he does, and he lays down the tracks one at a time. But there's 4 or 5 songs that when I listen to them, I feel emotions welling up, and it brings tears to my eyes sometimes. The power of music is incredible.
The power of music is incredible. And one of the reasons, and by the way, I don't know if I said this, I teach songwriting. Besides being an award-winning musician and producer,
I know.
I teach songwriting at a college. So we talk about this kind of thing a lot. Music and songs do something that other media cannot do, or don't do as well, let's say. And that is tell stories based on emotion primarily. Music is an emotional communication. So when you put the music together with the right words, you have a really powerful transmission. And then you keep that, nice and short, like a good pop song, 3 to 4 minutes. And if you can say it right, say it well, speak from your heart and your truth, as the artist.
You got a hit, yeah.
You got a hit, or it doesn't even need to be a hit. What it really needs to be is to connect with the listener, right? Just like in business. You don't need to be the next Amazon. You don't need to be the next Facebook. What you need to do is connect with enough customers or clients so that you pay the bills, make a profit, and can, grow at a reasonable rate.
Right. So that you're a viable business.
Right. Yeah. So absolutely. So telling stories from a business perspective, if you tell authentic stories, and that's key, don't be trying to pull a fast one because it won't work. If you tell a story that is true to you and true to your business and true for your customers, you will make an emotional connection through that story. When you make the emotional connection, you will build trust. And when you build trust, you get the customer or the client. It's like literally that simple. But all these things take skill and take that authenticity.
And you can just do a simple exercise. Just sit down with a pen and paper and write down some of the biggest brands that are in your universe, whether it be a Starbucks or a Harley or whatever it is, and figure out the stories that are behind those brands and figure out the reasons why you are compelled to do business with them instead of somebody else. And you'll find that there's stories associated, whether it be, you think of Apple, the first thing I think of is Steve Jobs. I think of a person. It's a personal branding exercise. But there's also more to it than that. And so all these different stories, like you said, they connect to people on an emotional level, and it gives people that compelling reason to want to go and buy product X as opposed to product Y. We'll be back with more of our fascinating interview with Jeff Leisawitz after these messages from our marketing partners.
Hello, Unleashed Tribe. I am so honored to have you as a loyal listener, and I'm very excited to tell you about the Business Edge Radio app, now available on Apple and Android devices. You can catch up on past episodes, watch short videos of the Business Edge Minute, our 60-second show that gives you quick and easy tips on building a better business and living a better life. And you'll get access to bonus materials that are only available on the app. In fact, I have a nice little PDF bonus waiting for you there right now. Plus, you can email the show, call the show, connect with us on social, check out our website, and even make a nice fluffy omelet. No, you can't really do that. Just go to the iTunes Store or Google Play Store, and you can download the Business Edge Radio app so you can be one of the cool kids on your block. Business Edge Radio, the ultimate brainstorming session for your business and life. Now available in the App Store. Download it today. And if you don't, I'll come visit you on your day off. Fans of Business Edge Radio, I have a very special treat for you. As you know, I love barbecuing and making up any excuse to get myself outdoors. And that's why I'm so excited to partner with Barbecue Nation. They make incredible sauces and rubs and spices and meat shredders and grill scrapers and lots more. And they're offering a deal for our listeners. Check out bbqnation.net. And when you place an order for any of their products, you'll receive a 20% discount off your order when you enter the word EDGE at checkout. Looking for a magnet that lists your cooking temperatures or different types of smoking woods? They got that. Need a heavy-duty set of meat shredders for your pulled pork or shredded chicken sliders? They got that too. Or my favorite is their Magic Dust Everything Rub that will spice up just about any dish. Log on to bbqnation.net. That's bbqnation.net today. And when you enter the code EDGE at checkout, you'll receive a 20% discount just because you hang out with us on the show. Barbecue Nation, get your grill on. We've all heard it said before that the best lessons learned are from the School of Hard Knocks. This prestigious university has some of the best alumni in the world, and the curriculum is more difficult than Stanford Medical School. You can't apply for admission, and you don't get to pick your classes. Well, now you can give the gift of a PhD from this prestigious university. This authentic diploma is printed on the same high-quality paper that the top schools in the world use for their diplomas and comes with an official gold foil seal that will look great framed in any room. This PhD degree will become the center of conversation. Get one for your spouse, for your boss, for your parent. Give them the gift that money can't buy today. When you place your order at schoolofhardknocks.net, you'll receive a special discount of 20% at checkout when you enter the code EDGE. Once again, 20% off your first order when you use the code EDGE at checkout. Schoolofhardknocks.net. That's schoolofhardknocks.net. Get one for that person in your life who seems to have everything, or heck, get one for yourself. You've earned it.
So creativity comes in a lot of forms, like we talked before. Writing music or an article or a blog or writing a book, coming up with a good recipe for your kitchen, or maybe designing the floor plan for your new home. It can be coming up with a creative solution for how to be at a teacher conference at 6 o'clock at night and have your kids at practice at 6:30. That takes creativity to solve those problems. And then you got to grab dinner along the way. So all those things in the hopper, you need to be creative. What can you recommend to someone who says, I'm just not creative at all. I just don't have it in me. Or should I say they don't think they're creative? What do you recommend to those people?
Well, first of all, everybody is creative. Okay.
So how do you tap into that? If they say, no, I'm not, I'm not creative. How do they tap into that? Is there exercises, some steps they can do?
Sure. Well, the first thing, so also part of my coaching practice is something called NLP, neuro-linguistic repatterning. And that is sort of psychological modality that helps people untangle their subconscious blocks. So what we're really talking about here, when somebody says, I'm not creative in any way, what they're really saying is that I have created an identity which says I'm not creative. Once you have an identity of any kind, your thoughts and your behavior will reflect that identity. If your identity says, I'm confident, smart, and outgoing, guess what? You're going to be confident, smart, and outgoing. If your identity is, I'm not creative, then no matter what happens, whatever stimuli come at you, if you're trying to get the dinner and go to the kids' meeting, like you said, it's going to sort of go through these subconscious filters and conscious filters for that matter. And, it's like, I can't do it because I'm not that. So really what you need to do is to start to rewire or reprogram almost your subconscious, which is a little tricky to do because it is subconscious, right? But you can do it on the conscious level as well. So one of the things that I do personally a ton and work with my clients is meditation. Now, meditation is really interesting because at the bottom line of meditation, it's just being quiet. It's quieting your mind. Okay? Our minds in the Western world are going all day long and are being distracted all day long, especially since the internet and cell phones have come around. So simply by meditating, simply by being intentionally quiet and stopping all of that, what will eventually happen is that your consciousness will expand. And when that happens, you will automatically be able to be more creative because you already are creative. You just shut it down. So that's my one quick tip on how to do that. And anybody can do it, and it's free. You sit there, you get some quiet time when you actually do it. You have to do it in a regular way.
Right.
Do it for 10 minutes, 5 days a week. And then the next week, try it 20 minutes. And sooner or later, you're going to be like, I'm feeling an internal change. And of course, as we all know, there's all kinds of studies on meditation that say it's also going to help basically everything about your physical and emotional state. You're going to feel better. You're going to feel calmer. You're going to have more energy. You're going to sleep better. Your blood pressure is going to go down, like all that stuff. It's very powerful.
From what I'm hearing from you is we have these patterns. We have these routines that are part of who we are, and we either believe something or we don't. So what I'm also hearing is that people risk failure, and that's one of the reasons they don't want to reach outside themselves. And also, it's a comfort zone, right? We all have comfort zones. We all do the same things. Our routines are made up of 99% of the same things every single day because we like that comfortability. We like the fact that there's not a lot of risk involved. But getting creative requires some risk, doesn't it? You have to kind of reach outside of yourself in order to try something different or new.
Absolutely. Creativity, whether you're painting something or doing something in your business, it takes a tremendous amount of courage and vulnerability because just like you said, it is unsafe, but that is the beauty of it, right? It's making new decisions, taking new action, essentially, that is going to create something new in the world. And guess what? You will fail. and that's okay. Not only is it okay, it's good. It's like a good sign. You know, one of the chapters in my book is fail fast.
Fail fast.
You want to fail,
that's right.
But don't consider it failing. What it really is feedback. You did the thing. It didn't work the way you wanted it to. Okay, first of all, it might have worked in ways you didn't foresee. So that's good news already. Mm-hmm. But if you're going, for the goal, that's great. So step back and just evaluate what happened, what worked, what didn't. Try it again. Do the things that worked and try to fix the things that didn't.
So why is it important that you fail fast as opposed to some long, drawn-out failure? Why is it important that we get it over with quickly?
Well, because we're Americans and we want to get to where we're going.
Americans, that's right. For all those listeners from other places around the world, this is not for you.
Right. But I mean, it's, we want to get to where we're going. If you're going somewhere, you want to get to where you're going.
That's right.
So you might as well get there at a reasonable rate. I'm not saying fail as fast as possible, like drive the car into the wall as soon as you're out of the driveway. Get the plan, get the map, and go. And then, you know what? If you get lost, if you drive off the road, okay, fine. Stop, reevaluate, do it again. That's what is going to move you forward closer to your goal in a reasonable time frame.
Right. Well, I got a story to share with you. Back when I was in my 20s and 30s, I used to think I was a songwriter, and I used to write music about love found, love lost, drinking, whatever it was that was going through my life when I was 20s or 30s. And I wrote these things. I made some demo tapes, and I sent a couple tapes off to Nashville, and I happened to get a letter back from a production company that said, hey, we'd like you to let us borrow your song, put it on hold for 6 months, and if the band we represent records it, then we'll get a contract, but you can't sell to anybody else for 6 months. The band was Alabama. Well, after 6 months, nothing happened. I got the song back, and nothing happened for 25 more years. It sat in a cassette tape. Remember cassette tapes? I had demos of my rough demos. Well, when COVID hit, I said, you know what? It's been on my bucket list and I'm not a good singer. I play guitar, and I wrote the songs. I just want to go into a studio, find the best singer I know, which I did, found him and said, hey, you want to record an album for me? It's not going to be like a top 40. It's just something I want to give my kids, something that I can say I did it. It's going to be a regret if I don't do it. And he said, well, absolutely. So I hired a studio. I hired an engineer, got the singer. We went in there, spent a whole day. We put down 12 tracks. And I have 3 of them that have music videos, and I have an actual CD. I'm not going to do anything with it, but it's part of that creative process. I never finished it, and I had those regrets. And I think a lot of people out there, they start projects, And for whatever reasons, and we all do it, right? We start something, whether it be weeding the backyard or painting a picture, we start and then we don't finish it. And the farther we get away from not finishing it, the easier it is just to let it go. So what do you recommend to somebody that starts things, that wants to complete them, but they don't have the, what do you call it, the oomph, whatever the word is, they don't have the wherewithal to be able to complete the tasks? What do you recommend to them?
The longer you step away from a project, the harder it is going to be to get back into it. Okay, so once you start, the best case scenario is you continue working at a regular pace until you finish. But like you said, sometimes that doesn't happen. So how do you get back into it? Well, the next thing people think, whether it's consciously or unconsciously, is they want to be inspired to do the thing. Like, I'm not inspired to work on the album or the weeding the backyard or whatever.
Or doing the marketing plan for my business.
Right, exactly. So the truth is, it's actually a little backwards. While inspiration can be a huge motivator, absolutely, it is also true that when you start to do the work, when you start to play with the ideas, whether it's a marketing plan or the painting, you will sooner or later start to get inspired again, backwards than what most people think. I'm waiting to get inspired to do the thing. Well, I'm going to say, do the thing and you will become inspired. And it's really true. It's worked for me a million times and, my clients and stuff too. So you really just need to prioritize it and do it, which it sounds so simple, but it's true.
So one of your biggest creative outlets is your music, and your music has been streamed millions of times around the world. You have clients like HBO and MTV and Discovery and Microsoft, and just to name a few. But the name of your, I'll call it a group, the Electron Love Theory.
Yeah.
How did you come up with that name? I mean, obviously that was a creative process, just coming up with that name. Tell me how you came up with the name, and also if people were to want to listen to one song that encapsulated the essence of what Electron Love Theory was all about, what song could you recommend they go and either download or go to YouTube and listen to?
Yeah, okay, so let's start with, I mean, that's pretty tough, man. But
throwing out a challenge to you.
Yeah. So first of all, you can go to Spotify or Apple. You can go anywhere to listen to this stuff, all the streaming services. Electron Love Theory is the name. What song? I don't know the answer to that. I can't really answer that. So
that's okay. That's okay. People can just kind of jump around and listen to a few of them, right?
Yeah. So where did the name come from? Back in college, I used to go out with my buddies late at night after studying and stuff to some all-night like diner, pancake house kind of place. And we would sit around and, just talk about whatever. And that is when I came up with the Electron Love Theory. The Electron Love Theory is my theory of human love based on chemistry. Essentially, how the electron shells of various elements or atoms combine with each other to create molecules. Okay, I am not a chemist. I am not. I mean, all I did was take high school chemistry, and I didn't even do that well in it. But it kind of intrigued me. I'm not going to go into the whole thing right here, but it's kind of similar in my opinion as a metaphor. So that's kind of where that came from, and I just started that many years ago, and it sounded good. So
and you tell a story about how when you were younger, joining a band, and there was a bass player named Mike Schmidt, who, and you were honored to be with him in this band, and he said, start playing something, and you asked him what? He said, doesn't matter, just start playing something. And then you started riffing, and then he kind of, the way you describe it, he carved the music out of what you had provided, but it was just free form. There was no structure. And a lot of creativity happens when we're not structured, right? Magic happens in that you call it the shadows. It happens there. That's when adrenaline gets going. That's when creativity gets a boost. And when you start on the creative process, once you start, it's easy to continue on until you hit that finish line. It's the hardest part is getting that thing started, isn't it?
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, the writer's block and the, looking at the blank page and the blank marketing plan, whatever
it is.
It is. It is. It's hard, but it's also, that's just where the most resistance is. Part of where that comes from is a very common idea that what I must do, when I create something is it has to be great, and it has to be great from the very beginning. Those are complete falsehoods. The truth is, you just need to start. You just need to do the thing. When I was in college, I took a lot of creative writing classes. And one of the great things that I learned from that was write the first draft. It can be as crappy as you want. It can be so crappy. The whole point is just to get something on the paper.
Well, the old saying, done is better than perfect. Just get it done.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Totally.
Well, thank you so much for spending the time. I think the listeners got a lot of golden nuggets. And thank you so much, and good luck in the future.
Thank you. It was great talking to you.
All right, Jeff. Take care. My biggest takeaway from Jeff, every day, we need to find a way to exercise our creative muscle, even if you don't feel creative. Done is better than perfect. And in his words, just do the thing. Just do the thing.
If you know anything about me, you know that I love my early mornings, and I really love a good cup of fresh roasted coffee. There's nothing better than getting started before the rest of the world with a good cup of joe. That's why I'm so excited to have Mountain Creek Coffee as a partner. The process is so simple. You order, they roast, they ship, you enjoy. They don't roast your beans until an order is placed, which guarantees the absolute freshest coffee that you can get. Check out their artisan dark roast, medium roast, or decaf beans at mtncreekcoffee.com. And when you put in the code EDGE at checkout, you will receive 20% off your first order. I prefer the dark roast because of its full body and bold flavor. You order, they roast, they ship, you enjoy. Log on to mtncreekcoffee.com and enter the code EDGE at checkout, and you will receive a 20% discount off your first order. Pretty cool stuff. Mountain Creek Coffee and Business Edge Radio, a partnership brewed out of the love of coffee. See what I did right there?
In today's business world, it is vitally important that you understand what I call the 7 pillars of business success, which are lifestyle design, time management, branding, sales, marketing, pricing, and social media. Regardless of what industry you're in, and whether you have a brick and mortar or you're only online, having a solid foundation in these skill sets will set you up for success down the road. And to personally help you with your journey, I've come out with the Business Edge podcast, which you're listening to right this second, and I've also written a book that I can highly recommend called Business Basics Bootcamp, the ultimate crash course, now available on Amazon.com, and will give you the 30,000-foot view of all these topics and many, many more. You know, reading is something that is slowly being replaced by videos and audiobooks or just scrolling through your newsfeed on social media, but I've always found reading to be kind of an escape from whatever is happening in the world. This book will help you slow down just a little bit so you can get your business house in order, so to speak, and get your creative juices a-flowing. Log on to Amazon.com today and get your copy of Business Basics Bootcamp, the ultimate crash course. You can search my name, Mitch Graff, or search the title of the book. In the dog-eat-dog world of business success, the weak will perish and the strong will survive. Which will you be?
Fans of Business Edge Radio, I have a very special treat for you. As you know, I love barbecuing and making up any excuse to get myself outdoors. And that's why I'm so excited to partner with Barbecue Nation. They make incredible sauces and rubs and spices and meat shredders and grill scrapers and lots more. And they're offering a deal for our listeners. Check out bbqnation.net. And when you place an order for any of their products, you'll receive a 20% discount off your order when you enter the word EDGE at checkout. Looking for a magnet that lists your cooking temperatures or different types of smoking woods? They got that. Need a heavy-duty set of meat shredders for your pulled pork or shredded chicken sliders? They got that too. Or my favorite is their Magic Dust Everything Rub that will spice up just about any dish. Log on to bbqnation.net. That's bbqnation.net today. And when you enter the code EDGE at checkout, you'll receive a 20% discount just because you hang out with us on the show. Barbecue Nation, get your grill on.
Time for Cooking Corner with Mitch. Yum.
Now it's time for Cooking Corner with a guy named Mitch. That would be me, where I share with you a tantalizing, delicious, and yummy recipe that you can try at home this week. First step, as always, turn on some really good music, grab a cup of your favorite beverage, and join me in the kitchen. When the weather starts to get cold, rainy, and foggy, I think about things like curling up with a warm blanket and a good book or a good movie, sipping some hot cocoa, and of course, comfort food. And at the very top of my comfort food list, mashed potatoes. Now, not an ordinary mashed potatoes, mind you, but something that can be used as a meal all on its own. Something that is so incredibly tasty, you will find yourself spooning the leftovers right from the fridge without even taking the time to even heat them up. Today's recipe is for Mitche's Northwest 7-course, yes, 7-course mashed potatoes. No need to cook anything else for dinner tonight. The earliest recipe of mashed potatoes is found in Hannah Glassey's The Art of Cookery in 1747. And back then, her recipe suggested mashing potatoes in a saucepan with a little bit of milk, some salt, and some butter, which I think is exactly the same way that most of us cook them today. How boring is that? It is generally served as a side dish to meat or vegetables, but not on this show. When the potatoes are only roughly mashed, they are sometimes called smashed potatoes. There's your useless fact of the day. Besides using a whole potato, dehydrated instant mashed potatoes and frozen mashed potatoes are also available if you are feeling lazy. Mashed potatoes may be eaten with gravy, typically meat gravy, though vegetable gravy is becoming more common as the vegetarian and vegan trends see a rise in popularity. All right, for this recipe, here's what you're going to need. 6 large russet potatoes, 1 cup butter or margarine, or you can even use the plant-based butter that you can find at your grocery store, 2 cups of sour cream, low fat if you choose, 1 cup of sliced mushrooms, 1 cup of minced broccoli, 1 cup of diced onions, 1 cup of diced bacon. We use the turkey bacon, it has great flavor. 2 cups of cheese. Yeah, there's no shortcuts there, just 2 cups of cheese. 1/4 cup of diced chives. 3 tablespoons of granulated or minced garlic. And if you have fresh, that's best, of course. And salt and pepper to taste. Now, I'm a believer in the value of leaving skins on my potatoes because of the high nutritional value that they have. So for this recipe, don't worry about peeling the skins. Just make sure that your potatoes are cleaned and scrubbed very well. Cut them up, stick them in a pot, cook them for about 20 minutes or until they are literally starting to fall apart. Drain, rinse, and smash the potatoes and leave them on low in the pot with the lid on to keep them warm. Place the diced bacon in a skillet and cook over medium heat until evenly browned. But after about 4 minutes, toss in your broccoli and onions, and after 4 more minutes, toss in your mushrooms. That way, everything is done at exactly the same time. Then, take your pot-o potatoes and add your cheese, your sour cream, your butter, your chives, your garlic. Don't add the salt and pepper yet, until you've added the bacon and the onions and broccoli and mushrooms, since they will bring a new set of flavors to the party. Once everything is getting all happy in the pot, now add your salt and pepper to taste. Of course, like any decent cook, you have to make sure that you are taste testing along the way to make sure that things aren't rotten. I give you my complete permission to do that. Stir everything up, scoop into a bowl or onto a plate, and you are ready to enjoy Mitche's Northwest 7-course mashed potatoes. Give this one a try. Let me know how it turns out. Well, that will do it for this edition of Business Edge Radio. My parting shot today is this. Around here, however, we don't look backwards for very long. We keep moving forward, opening up new doors and doing new things because we're curious. And curiosity keeps leading us down new paths. The Walt Disney Company. Until next time, this is Mitch Graff, reminding you to live every day like it's a Saturday and to live with passion. I'll catch you later.
Thanks for hanging out with Business Edge Radio. If you enjoyed today's show, we invite you to subscribe, rate, and review. Then hop on over to www.mitchgraff.com to get even more meat and potatoes. We also invite you to follow the show at facebook.com/Unleashed Tribe. The most valuable asset that any of us has is our time. And we thank you for choosing to spend some of your precious time with us.